I would like to trademark a line of game consoles that end with XX.
I don't know if you can trademark XX, but I think Anbernic probably should if they can, because we're starting to see some third-party game consoles use XX. I think we're all familiar with the H700 line of handhelds from Anbernic that all ended in XX, like the RG35XX Pro, the RG40XXV, and H. But today we have from Game Console the 40XX. 40XX. And I think this is going to be a little bit confusing for consumers who are new to the hobby, because they're going to hear all these great things about Anbernic and look for an XX at the budget line, and they're going to find this, and we're going to unbox and test it and find out, is this crap or is this somewhat good? But really, it's a little confusing using that XX name. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode of our awesome content. But today we're going to dive in and open the 40XX just released from Game Console. Oh, I was so tired. I mean, my days felt forever. That is, until I discovered Haplopsi. Haplopsi is a little pill you take in the morning, and it gives you an amazing type of energy. I don't even know where that energy comes from. But studies have shown that if you take just one Haplopsi in the morning, you will... No, wait. I'm not selling drugs or that drug, or is that even a real drug? I don't think so. Hey, deadheads. Welcome back to the channel. Or welcome to the channel for the first time, new deadheads. Today, we're going to take a look at... Alright, so let's start with the unboxing as always. And the front of the box here is pretty nice. It's got a picture of it as usual, the Game Console logo. It does point out the 4.2-inch screen with the 1024 by 768. We're pretty sure this is a 4-inch screen, counting the bezel 4.2. R40XX, again, XX, that's kind of confusing. Wireless quad-core, 20 emulators, memory card. On the side of it, we do have some more information. We do have BilliBilli Surfing. We've talked about that. That's like the YouTube of China. Watching movies and remote upgrade. You just have the Game Console on either end of that. And then you do have the colorways, and it does come in several different colors. We opted for the color red. I don't know if each box matches the color that you get on the picture, but it does have the red one on the front. I thought the red looked good. Let's get this opened up, as always, and find out what's inside. And let's move the handheld out of the way for now. We have a good old faithful plastic. Move it out of the way. And we do have a USB-C cord. This is our standard USB A to C, so nothing fancy there. We do have a screen protector, if you can call it that, one of those flappy ones. And then we do have our manual, the R40XX manual. Not much to it. These manuals are getting to be smaller and smaller, and this one only has English. I don't know if they're targeting more overseas sales, more English sales, but it's kind of interesting that it really just is just in English. But let's put this all back in there and get the stuff put back in, and let's take a look at the handheld and find out what it's like.
Double 11 is here. Get ready for the biggest deals on AliExpress and find your codes in the description.
Well, as always, let's start with testing some of this hardware, and we'll start with the buttons. And they are your typical buttons you find from Game Console. Now these feel a little better. I can't quite explain it, but in playing this, I really found that I like the way the buttons feel. They're still connected, they're not independent, and they do still have that same travel distance, but they feel really good, like they've really refined these buttons to a point where they're very good. They're not Anbernic quality or Retroid, but for a budget line, a $35 handheld, I think that they're actually quite good. Moving on to the D-pad, and we still have the same D-pad. After playing the Thor and playing on the Retroid G2, it's hard to use a D-pad like this for me and be objective, but this is the typical D-pad that we found on R36 line. So it's the same D-pad. Again, it's refined just a little bit. It's a little bit, has a little bit of a pivot, not great, but it's acceptable. Now here's the biggest thing, game console. I've said this in the last 3 videos. When are we going to ditch the switch sticks? Yeah, let's ditch the switch sticks. Anyways, these are the same switch sticks you're used to. You can tell they feel like you're used to, nothing there. And then we have a start and select, and then we have not 1 but 2 additional function buttons. Those 2 buttons right there. And I haven't found a lot of use for those buttons. Now in Nintendo DS and Drastic, it can go into the menu and change the screens. But I'm not really sure why we have 2. Let's look around the side. And we do have 1 SD card TF2 slot on the same side as your power and your reset. The reset button's tiny and the power button's a bit stiff. On the bottom, we do have bottom firing speakers. I'm not sure if there's 2 in there, but it sounds pretty good. We do have a single DC OTG port and a headphone jack with this nice Game Boy-like curve on the bottom. On the other side, we do have the first SD card slot with our volume rocker, and then there is nothing on the top. Moving to the back, and we have these triggers. And these triggers feel really good. They're not real loud. Probably loud enough if you're in the bed next to someone. But they have a nice mechanism here. They feel good. They feel like rubber membrane. I think that's what they are. They're very flat, and they give this a very sleek back to it. Now, that may be ergonomically not the best for holding this. And of course, this is not a CPU, the Rockchip 3326, where you're going to really stream on this or play things where you can really take advantage of the sticks and need those back there. But it's not terrible. And, you know, I like them. I gotta say, I'm surprised. This thing is really surprising me so far. The hardware on this thing is nice. And then there's this big screen. We've seen this screen. This is the 3rd iteration of it. The first one in a vertical format. And I actually think I like it better in the vertical format. So I'm going to show you some comparison here side by side. You can see it with the R36X Pro whatever. These names, my God, I can't keep up with all of them. But you see the handheld there. I'll put the link in there. And you can see it's the same screen as I stack it up on here. But I think I like it vertical better. But this is a very sharp, beautiful, high bright screen that looks great. It may not be 4.2 inches exactly as stated, but this is a nice screen that I think is really good and effective. Having this next to another 4-inch vertical, the Powkiddy RGB20SX, you can see that that is a 1-to-1 ratio. This is your 4-to-3 ratio. So you have the 2 different screen ratios there, but they're both 4 inches. This is about as thick as the Powkiddy, but it's sleeker on the back. Now, if you ever saw Aiden Walls, he had a really awesome video on how to modify the RGB20SX with that thin black back and removing those triggers to stick out. And so this is sort of like a compromise that still gives you the triggers, but is a lot more flat. I really like this design. I would like to see this from something more premium. Retroid, your Pocket Classic, maybe we get something like this on the back of it next time. Overall, this is a really nice feeling handheld that I like the shape of it. I like the feel of it. The materials of it are really nice. It doesn't feel like a $35 console. It feels more like a $55 to $70 console. We're really starting to get some nice details here. The game console logo on the back looks really great and clear. It's just an overall nice feeling handheld that kind of surprised me. I didn't think from looking at the pictures that I would like it this much. But let's get the thing booted up and start taking a look at the software. Hey guys, it's been 2 years. 2 years since I first officially launched this channel and posted my first videos. And I wanted to just say thank you to each and every one of you for every comment, every like, every subscription, even the ones that gave me criticism. It's been a great 2 years. And I especially want to say thanks to our partners, including AliExpress, who have made this channel possible. Now, we're coming upon the biggest sales of the year. Every year during 11/11, or Singles Day as known in China, is one of the biggest sales days for AliExpress. This is the month that Black Friday occurs after all. And I want to just share with you that we've got some really great codes for all kinds of the gaming things that you love. Check all my reviews, but if you check out my influencer page here, you'll see that we have a lot of codes and stuff picked for you specifically, including non-gaming items like 3D printers. So if you're looking to score some big savings, please check out the links below and help support the channel, as well as AliExpress, who is a great partner with us. Now, on to the show. Okay, booting this thing up, and we boot into the good old reliable game console ArkOS 2.0. This is a very solid custom firmware. Because this is a 3326, it does have the possibility of more custom firmwares if development teams take on the challenge and start developing for it. However, the ArkOS is one of my favorite and preferred ones, and I think it's great. You can see we have the standard emulation station set up as we boot into here. There is a lot of games on this, and coming from the perspective of people who are now getting into this handheld and learning about these, if this is your first one, it is set up pretty well game-wise. Now, there's not a lot of duplicates, but not everything is scraped, and there's still a lot of Chinese or Japanese ROMs in here if you're buying this in the US. Now, I know I have viewers from all sorts of the world, so I think it's wise of them to sort of have a mix in here. There's a section for Brazil, for example, but I really think that maybe they could let it be a little more clear. The same thing lies, these cards that ship with these are not the best. They're probably going to fail, so you may want to do your own ROM library anyways. The system is fine as I show you some footage of gameplay here. One of the things I wanted to talk about was these bottom firing speakers. So take a listen here as I show you some of the gameplay footage and let you listen to what it sounds like. So you can see these bottom firing speakers sound really good. I haven't opened this up. I think it's dual speakers. It doesn't mention on the package. It's probably a single speaker, knowing that it's a budget device, but I think it sounds really good. The other thing we have here is built-in Wi-Fi, and yes, it does work. We continue to see on the back of the package it talking about Wi-Fi specific versions. I don't know if this one is going to continue that trend and come out with some sort of version that doesn't have it, but mine had Wi-Fi. It worked out of the box. It's working great. As you can see, I loaded into Port Master, into Theme Master, and so you have all of that. There's also the BilliBilli, as I'll show you a little footage here of BilliBilli playing. And as mentioned before, BilliBilli is like the YouTube of China. So you can play movies, you can load movies on this thing. So it's a full multimedia Linux device with a somewhat decent speaker for it. So let's wrap this unboxing and initial review over with. It is a good size. It's a big screen. This screen is way better than the 640 by 480. For people like me that are in the decades that I'm in, I won't mention my age, I think this screen is a lot better. It's still going to be somewhat pocketable. It's sort of a big boy, but it's got that slim back profile, allowing it to fit in your pockets a lot better. So it does have that advantage. It looks like a big Game Boy Color. It's got nice rounded bottom, nice detail to it. It has, plastic that feels good. The only criticism of this is that it's not as polished as something that Anbernic will ship. They're using the XX name, which I think is a mistake and kind of crazy. And it has these sort of goofy designs on the front that may not be great for everyone. Other than that, there's not a lot that I found wrong with this. The SD card slot does stick out a lot, stick out a little bit. It's not all the way in there. That could bother some people. I know with Magic X it was a big deal. So there is that. But overall, this is a somewhat surprising handheld that I do recommend. I think that this is the new R36. Now we do have a Pro version of this coming, an R40XX Pro, which looks a little bit more like Retroid's Pocket Classic, and I'm curious to see it. But if you want a slim enough form factor with a bigger screen and a vertical, this is pretty good. The only thing is we're still stuck on the Rockchip 3326, but we know that chip, we know the limitations, and so you're not playing, PS2, you're not really even playing N64 great on this. You can see N64 can struggle, but everything below that is going to play really good, and it's a good pocketable handheld. Those deals, it's the best time to buy games. Check out my codes, the AliExpress codes, the sales going on. We'll see you next time, Deadheads. Dead Fred out.